Hey there, welcome back. Today I got a new project I want to start on, and it's something I kind of thought about doing in the past, but just never had the time, need. I still don't have the need, I guess, but there's never really a need for most stuff that I do. I just enjoy doing it. Anyway, what I want to do is make, you guys have seen those diesel heaters, the portable diesel heaters? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. They're Chinese, you can buy them on the Jungle website. And anybody can do that, so that's no fun. I thought I'd try to make my own. Came across some parts of one that are not assembled at the local auction, so I scooped them up. And I got a container that's entirely wrong for this project that I'm going to try to stick the parts that I don't know if they work or not from the auction into and make a complete working emergency. We have here is a bunch of parts. It looks like majority of what I would need to make one of these diesel heaters work. This is the brand here that you see. They sell them on Amazon. I was able to pick what you see here up for $20 at my local auction. Came with this digital readout here. Don't even know if it works. But let's see what we got here. Looks like majority of what I need. Wiring, exhaust, clamps and hoses, fuel line, duct work, the main unit of course, you know, all the goodies. So then I thought, well, I've seen online people make them out of those plastic carrying cases, but you know, they're $60 and I've only got $20 into it. So I did the right thing and I went on Marketplace and I found this. Believe it or not, I got this for $10. And it's an old military crate. But I thought it would be a really cool diesel heater. It's even got the spring-loaded handles on it. This side's a little more beat up. The guy had drilled some holes in it already. He was gonna make something out of it. Obviously never got around to it. But I thought, since it's already been drilled in and it's kind of beat up, I don't feel bad drilling some more holes in this, and it would be, well, different than anything else I've ever seen. Let's go ahead and kind of mock up what we're thinking here as far as what we want it to look like and where stuff's gonna go, and then figure it out from that. All right, so I think the first thing I'm gonna do is, let's get the main mechanism set down in there. This is I'm assuming the mounting plate. It goes on there like that. And it's designed to mount then to the side of, you know, some type of structure. However, I don't want to do that because I want this to be more self-contained. I don't want to lose the image of the box out here with stuff. So I think my plan of attack is going to be set it in there, figure out where it's going to be, and then we're going to have to modify this bracket so that I can screw it or bolt it into this somehow. So let's see what I come up with. Okay, so the way that this fits on here is like this. And then what I'm thinking is I drew a line right here. I'm gonna try to use my Dremel and just put a slight cut in it, not all the way through, and bend it, actually bend it out this way so it's flat with the bottom of the unit. And then I'll be able to run my bolts through that. And then on the bottom of this, it looks like there is enough of a gap there where those bolts will sit up underneath there and not affect how it sits on level ground. So, all right, let's cut the plate and see what it looks like. Okay, that didn't turn out too bad. I used my Dremel tool and then I put it in my vice grips and just slowly bent it. As you can see, it's pretty much flat with the unit. We're gonna try to use everything we got without buying anything else. I know there's probably gonna be a few things I gotta purchase, but we're gonna do this as budget friendly as we can. We've got $30 into this right now total. Let's see how far along we can get. All right, here's the unit in the box. I kind of am eyeballing it here. This is your intake side, this is your output side. Could I push it all the way to the back? drill a hole through here and just have this sticking out, and that would alleviate me having to run any pipe or buy any fittings for the back side of this thing. We just have to do it for the output side. This piece here I got connected, and this is just kind of set in here. I think I'm gonna run this and attach it maybe here somewhere in this vicinity, like that. And then this is the exhaust pipe they give you. And the problem with this is you can't cut it to length because this ribbed part is smaller in diameter than the outside edges. So you gotta keep both the smooth edges. However, I think I can take maybe half of it off and still have enough to get it on there. And with it set back, I want the exhaust, since the intake is gonna be down here in the back, I was thinking the exhaust should be up towards the top, coming out up here somewhere. And I'm thinking up higher because smoke should rise, or fumes should rise. I think that'll work. And this will allow me to maybe use this pipe. Okay, this might actually work. So we're gonna drill a 3-inch hole in the back for our input. This bracket will mount down with bolts, hold this in place. And then I kind of bent this into place, and I think we will be able to come up and exit, although it's kind of janky. I'm gonna keep working on it, but I'm gonna have this come out somewhere in here. Now, I do have the muffler that needs to be added. And I don't know if I want the muffler on the outside of it, or do I do the muffler in here and just have the tip sticking out? It's kind of what I'm thinking. Gonna make it tough though, because this hose is a little bit long. Okay, that's definitely gonna work. Gotta come up with a mount. That's just the one that came with it. I'm gonna bend that and maybe mount it to the side here. Obviously gonna have to cut out a hole here so that this will fit through. Exhaust will be up over on this side. Intake will be down on the bottom of this side. Fuel tank, I'm thinking somewhere here with some standoff so it comes out a little bit. Should be fine. This is pretty thick metal, and we'll have some gap in there. So found this old computer fan in my junk pile, and I thought maybe we'll suck air out up here somewhere. Maybe put some, drill some holes somewhere to suck the air in, and we'll push it out, push the heat out the back. I don't know, haven't decided yet what to do with this, but I might try to add this in. It's a 12-volt computer fan. I have these, thinking we'll use these somehow. My original idea was to put this on the back to connect like this. Might still do that. All right, first hole made here, 25 mil. Not perfect, my drill bit was very wobbly and it's cheap, so I'm gonna have to get some high temp sealant. I think from the inside. I gotta clean up the hole yet. It's kind of warm. I just stuck in there to see what it would look like, but I think that'll work. It's pretty inconspicuous. You can't really see it, which I like. And we'll clean it up. I'll seal it with high temp sealant in here, and we'll also figure out a way to mount this, although it's in there pretty good. But anywho, that'll work out perfect. So very happy with that. All right, let's move on to this back hole here and this plate. All right, I got the inlet side cut out with the 2 7/8. That's the only bit I have, and they're expensive, so we really need 3-inch. It doesn't quite fit. I mean, it is very close. So I'm gonna take my Dremel and stone and clean up the edges as best I can and see if I can get this to, basically get this to work. Well, after about a half hour of fighting and drilling and cutting and making a mess, I got it. It fits on there okay. You can see it coming out there. So now that I got this port in here, I can get that piece back in with the bracket that we made attached to it and get a real measurement of where this is gonna go. All right, is it perfect? Nope. Will it work? Yep. I'm gonna put a couple washers under here. It's a little bit, this is a little lower than the hole, but you can see in there, just at the top right there, see the gap? So you can always use furnace tape, duct tape too. This is the inlet, doesn't get hot, so this plastic is fine. That's why I'm using this for this side. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the output yet. I don't see anything in here that's really reasonable to use. I'm probably gonna have to go on the Jungle website and figure out if I can come up with something, but pretty happy with that setup. I think that's gonna work out pretty good. So I'm gonna mark my holes here. I know kind of where I need to be. Get that marked, and then I think we'll start looking at fuel tank and how we're gonna mount that to this. I'm using this side because it's worse shape. Some of the lettering and stuff is worn off, see? This side's in much better condition. All right, so I just want to explain how I did this because it's kind of a little bit tricky, but I had to get, first of all, I drilled a hole through the bottom here. This is the fuel tank, right? It's gonna sit something like this. So I needed my pickup on the very bottom. What I ended up doing was drilling a hole just wide enough to get the barb end through, not the threaded. And then I stuck some wire, I had this wire, up through the hole, out to the top here, put it through the fitting like this, and then kind of bent it at the top so it would hold it. And then I just pulled it through carefully until I got to this hole, and I was able to grab it right here and just kind of start threading it through the plastic out. And then I went ahead and put my nut on and tightened it down. But that was the only way I could figure out how to do it. So seems to work. I think it's in there. I got O-rings on both sides, and I don't know if you can see it down there. See it at the bottom down there. Hopefully that's gonna work. So here's what I came up with for mounting this on the side here. I needed to put a space in here because my lid would rub if it was flush up to this. So this is what I did. I had some scrap tubing around. I cut 3 chunks of it and then went ahead and drilled through the 3 spots here. And you can see one right there. I put a washer on it. They're just loosely in there right now. I'm going to use those as my spacers and then come right through there. I think that's going to work out. So let me get this last one put on and we'll tip it back up and see what it looks like. Okay, so that worked out pretty good. It's sturdy. I mean, I can lift the whole thing up on there. And it doesn't look too bad. The cap fits on just fine. We can fill it up right here, and I think we'll have enough room to run our hose and curve it down inside there. I have to drill another hole and run that next, but that's gonna work out just fine. So, all right, so I got a little sidetracked here. Decided to try to come up with a bracket. This is what I came up with. Just took one of the brackets from the hardware kit. It was an L, and I bent it multiple ways, and I got it pretty close. I still need to use, I got some of this black high temp silicone. I'm gonna put goop around the inside here to seal it, but I wanna wait until I get everything installed here first, so. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do, I think, is go ahead and install my exhaust fan. Now, is this necessary? I don't know, probably not, but I think it's kind of neat. So what I'm gonna do is, on the back side here where the inlet is, I got space. Somewhere I'm thinking like here-ish. It's out of the way, but yet, you know, it'll look pretty good. So let me drill a hole, get this mounted, and I'll be back with you. Just show you how I'm drilling these holes. Marked my mounting points and then found my center. I did a pilot hole there with a smaller drill bit because it's a little easier. And then I'll take my hole saw and use that to make my opening. There you go. Kind of a messy job, but good enough. Now, I should be able to mount the fan over it like that somehow. All right, well, it's installed. Starting to get an idea what this is gonna look like. Pretty good. Show you what it looks like from this side. Nice and clean. So next I think we'll do is I ended up picking up one of these 2-prong 12-volt connectors for easy connection, and it came with the other end that clips, you know, they connect, so you got a secure connection. Easy wiring, just 2 wires. And I thought that'd be a clean look. It cost me, we got just under $12 on EvilBay for that, this whole thing. So not terrible, we're still in budget. But now I'm thinking that goes back here. This will be for our battery plug-in. Maybe here, cover up that. All right, we got that installed. Got it right there. My thought process is I'll run the fan wiring here and the wiring from the screen control panel, which we have to install yet. And I'll keep all the wiring in this back area over here, is my thought, away from the exhaust on the front and the heat going out the front. So I think it looks pretty good. I like it. As for mounting the screen, I'm thinking right here. This space here, I won't have to cover up any of this. And we can mount it right there. And then we're pretty much home free. Just getting everything installed, wired, and then testing this out. So now as far as the output goes, I have not come up with a solution quite yet on what I want to use to connect, you know, the unit to the pipe coming out. I ordered something, it should be here in a couple days, and when that comes in I'll show you, and I'm hoping it works, but you know, we won't know until it gets here. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that for tonight and get back on this when that piece comes in, and hopefully at that point we're ready to wrap this thing up. Looking pretty cool though. Right, so I got our fuel line installed. Goes in right there. And then, hard to tell, I made a loop, put a pre-filter in to our pump out to the unit. And I just bolted the pump in right there. From everything I've read online is you want to make sure that this fuel pump is more of a vertical than a horizontal. The failure point on these fuel pumps, from what people say, is they're self-lubricating with the fuel, and so you need them vertical to keep them so they don't dry out, I guess. At least somewhat vertical. I mean, it can be angled or whatever, but I got mine pretty much, well, it's angled a little bit. There you go. So that's the reason I mounted it that way. Now what I'm doing is putting my air intake cone filter on. Let me show you what I'm doing for it. I just put a little bit of Gorilla Glue on the end here. I'm letting it pre-tack. I'm gonna stick it here, and then my black tube here will just connect up to it. There's no filter or anything in this. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be. It didn't come with one. I'm just gonna leave it. We're just gonna run it how it is, see how it goes. Let me get this mounted up with a clamp, let it dry, and then we'll get that hooked up. All right, well, I kind of had to rig that up to make it stay, but I added a little more glue once I got it on there. kind of made a mess of it, but it should work, you know. So we'll let that dry for 3 or 4 hours. I don't know what this Gorilla Glue, this is the clear, $7. I use it for other things, so not that big of a deal. Anywho, let's move on. We need to move on to figuring out how we're gonna get the control board connected with this big old wire on the end here. And I looked at this and I can't figure out a good, sensible way to disconnect this without ruining it so that I can get a hole and drill it through. So I'm tempted to mount it on the inside here, but I'm not sure how good of an idea that is. So let me do a little research. We may just have to make a big hole and then make a plug to seal it off. Let me see what I can come up with. Okay, so I just went ahead and decided I'm going to glue it on. That way I don't have to have any more bolts or screw holes coming through this. I get it would have been neat to have it on the outside somewhere to have the display showing, but the downside to that, like I said, is how do I get this big cable in to the rest of the computer or whatever connections? And then I got to worry about water and all that good stuff. I don't believe these have thermostats, so the heat inside this box, as long as it doesn't get hot enough to melt this, which it shouldn't, we got a vent, shouldn't matter. Also, on top of that, it did come with this key fob, which I just found. It looks like I can control it on and off, up and down from out here, as long as this will penetrate through the steel. So we don't know, but either way, I mean, I can always just pop the lid off, set it to where I want it, put it back on, and let it run. So that's gonna be the best way, easy, quick way to do this. I mean, I already got enough stuff popping out of this as it is, and you know, with everything else going on. So that'll keep the one side that's halfway decent shape still in decent shape, which is kind of neat. And I bought this aluminum intake, 3-inch. I'm thinking something like that for our output. It's not going to line up perfect, but with a little flex tube, I think we can make it work. And then that gives it a good, you know, industrial look. I know it won't melt, it's not plastic. And hopefully if we drill our hole, maybe I'll paint this too. I think it may be black. I don't know, we'll see. I got some high temp grill paint, could paint it. And this will give us a solid foundation to put on a hose to run to wherever we want to heat. So anyway, that's where we're at. Let's let this stuff dry. I'll be back with you. Back, had a slight issue with the mount here for the controller, fell off, so I added a bunch of extra glue. Let's see, it's dripping all over the place in there. Put a different clamp on it. We're gonna let that dry. This one did fine, so I got that. I gotta put a clamp on that yet, but we're good. I got, well, let's just say I got it connected. Is it perfect? Nope, but I think it'll work. You see, now we can just slide on. I think I'll get some of that flex tubing that you see in dryer vents, about 10 feet of it, and that'll get me plenty far that I need to get to, but slides on there real nice. I gotta trim up the excess there a little bit, but it wasn't a perfect, it had a little angle to it. That's why it looks the way it does. But when I went to mount this, I didn't want to go overlapped on this edge here. I wanted to stay inside that, and that's what caused it to be off. So hindsight being what it is, I would have moved that one over a little bit, but didn't know that at the time. So plus I needed all the room I could get on this side for the bends and all that good stuff. So anywho, getting closer. I'm gonna let this dry. We'll get the electrical out then, all the wiring, and I gotta figure out how we're gonna, you know, get all that put away somewhat neatly in here so it's not causing issues. And then I think we're ready to fire this thing up and get some diesel fuel, and we'll test it out. All right, about ready to wrap this project up here. Let's, for the sake of seeing if this even works, I'm gonna go ahead and get my wiring straightened out. I got 2 SAD cables here, one from the fan, one from the computer. I'm gonna put them together, put them right on our inlet here for our power source. And then I have 2 positives, put those on the positive end, solder them on there, and then I think I'll try to straighten all this stuff out and mount them somewhere on here with some type of clamp, just to clean it up a little bit. And then I'm just gonna get I got some wire here, speaker wire, 14 gauge. I'm just gonna make my own little quick line here from this deep cell battery to here, just to get power for now. It's not gonna be anything professional with the clip. I just wanna see, you know, if this is gonna work. Throw some diesel in here, see if we can get this pump to prime, see if we can make a little fire and get some heat out the front. I'm not gonna run it too long because I'm in my basement, so don't need any of the carbon monoxides, you know what I mean? But we can run it for a minute or so, just to make sure we're there, and then I can just clean and tidy up everything else. So let me get this stuff soldered, I'll be back with you. Okay, nothing too fancy here. This is just a test. I ended up hooking up that wire I had. I just soldered it here. It's just easier because it's just me to be able to, you know, connect them. So I got it soldered on this side. I haven't straightened any of the wiring up or bundled it up yet. I just want to get some power to it and see what happens. See if our computer box turns on and does computing things. See if the pump kicks on and starts making a noise. I don't have any fuel in it yet or anything. This is just a base test. So I'm gonna plug this side in. I'm just gonna take the other end here and just touch these to the battery terminals, and we'll see what happens. So, all right, positive cable first. Go. And fire test. We got power. Show you what we got going here. Nothing turned on, but this turned on. 14 volts. That's good. That's a good sign. I didn't do anything with the fan. I think I left the SAD cable unhooked on the fan. I did solder it to the positive, so if I ground this, I think that fan will turn on. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Okay. What if I go to the ground? Do we get anything? Oh yeah, we do. Let me try that again. You guys watch. Ground. So, we do have fan. I just gotta get a switch. I think I'm gonna put a switch on that. I'm not sure I wanna have that on all the time running my battery dead. That way, you know, if a guy wants to keep battery on and not have it on, maybe that'll work. Okay, let's hit the okay. Nothing. Oh, something's happening. We got a fanage. We got fanage in the back. We got air blown in the front. Off. I did not hear the pump kick on, but it might be because we don't have any fuel in there yet. I don't know if there's a sensor. So I'm gonna go grab some diesel fuel and let's put a little bit of that in here and see if we can start, we can see these clear lines. Let's see if we can start priming fuel. Okay, we are gonna dump some fuel in this thing, diesel. Turn it back on, just see what happens. I didn't have a diesel container, so I made one official. All right, I'm gonna dump a little. Let's just see and make sure it's not leaking out the bottom. We don't need that. I don't see anything yet. Put a little more in there. Should be enough to get her started. Okay. Let me hook up our battery again. Everything else is hooked up. I'm just gonna hold down prime button here. Right, fan kicked on. Let's see what happens. There's just the fan on the motor. I can feel it sucking in here and just really slowly blowing it out here. Assuming our pump is going to have to kick on here at some point. Nothing. Fan's starting to kick up a little more. Still no clickety clack going. Still no fuel. Well, here, let me just take you in. Take a look. That showing a little fan spinning there. No fuel. Nothing happening there. Still nothing. Everything connected here. Clickety clack ain't clacking. All right, let me do a little Googling. See if I can come up with how this works. Got no instructions, you know. Okay, so I'm thinking we might have a dead pump. When I go to prime it, let me just show you. So what they say is you hold the down arrow and up arrow at the same time. You'll see a little pump signal come on. Oh, I unplugged it. But anyway, you could hear it click and then click off. So I think the computer's telling it to do what it needs to do. It's just not doing it. I don't know why. Yeah, so I went ahead and tested. We're getting about 4 volts constant out of this plug that goes into our fuel pump there. And when I hit the prime feature and it clicks on, it jumps up to like 10 or 11 volts, which makes sense. That's probably just cranking up the pump to try to get prime. So I think the computer is doing its job, but we're just dead at the pump. I'm gonna try to hook that up. I don't think you can hook it up a different way, but I'm gonna try and maybe bang on it a little bit with a hammer. Let's see if something, maybe it's just sticky, you know? All right, look, I dropped it, kicked it, banged on it, tried to throw extra voltage to it. It's just, it's not doing the thing. I think, you know, this is pretty much shot. My guess is, I can't see a way to take it apart to service it. It's probably not serviceable, and it's probably the reason it was returned originally, because the pump was dead on arrival. It happens, you know, you take that risk. So I'm gonna do a little research, see if I can find a replacement pump for this. Hopefully it doesn't cost me too much. Get that ordered, get the new one installed, hopefully, and then maybe finally then this will do heater things. Okay, I just want to clarify, I did take the pump a step further, beat on it with a mallet, and then I hit it directly with my battery to get the full like 13.6 volts. I got a trickle charger on it, that's what it is right now. And it was sparking and it was getting really warm, but it still wouldn't pump. So that told me right there that it's shot. So I thought I'd try to open it up. Broke off the top, can't get to it. This piece turns, doesn't do anything. This piece turns separately on the other side, can't get it apart. I mean, it's not repairable, so I wouldn't care. I took a hammer to it, whatever. Just, I was curious what it looked like in there, but I imagine if you really put a lot of effort into it, you could, you know, peel it apart, but it's pretty stubborn. So it's gonna go in the trash. I did get one on order. They're like $16. So I ordered one up. It'll be here in a day, and we'll flop that one in there, and we'll see what happens. All right, I got the new fuel pump in there. Everything's kind of hooked up. Let's apply power. All right, we got power. Let's see if we can prime. Prime it. See if it fires. Nothing so far. Oh. We got heat. I turned it off because we're inside. I don't want to run it more than 30 seconds. But it works. Cool. Nice and warm. Kind of show you what we got going here. I turned it off, but it seems to be cooling down. There it goes. I think it finally stopped. So it runs through a cycle to cool down. It doesn't immediately shut off. So I'm gonna get some exhaust fans going in here because I got quite a bit of smoke, but good news is it works. I didn't have the fan here plumbed in yet. This gets pretty hot. I'm gonna have to move this intake further away from this. It's too much. That's too hot, almost hot to the touch. Had a leak here. Got a leak here with smoke, so there's smoke coming through here, and I need to button up the bottom down there, but it works. Next test is gonna be, let's get this thing outside and like really let it heat up. All right, well, we got perfect weather today to wrap up this heater video. So what I wanna do is, it's actually about 30 degrees out here, 30, 31 degrees. I wanna bring this heater out here in the elements, fire it up, let it run for 10, 15 minutes or so, come out and check the heat output and see basically how it does. I think this is the best case scenario for testing this thing, because this is when you would use it out in the elements. So let me get it set up and then I'll fire it up and be back with you. All right, just got it set up here on the edge of the patio out here. Let's open it up. Obviously you have to finish, you know, I gotta get some alligator clips for this and whatnot, but for today, I think this will work just fine. Let's see if we got power. We do. Our tube on here, that way we can check temperature at the end of the tube. Let's just go ahead and fire this thing up. See what happens. like we're getting lit up here. It's smoking. We don't want smoke coming out of this area, so as long as it's coming out up there, we're good. Okay, it's been going for about 2 or 3 minutes. Smell definitely warm exhaust coming out. Let's see. Yeah, definitely warm water or warm air coming out of there. See how warm it's starting to melt some of the snow maybe. We'll see. We'll let it go a couple more minutes and then I'll get a thermometer on there and see what we're doing. I can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. It's pretty quiet out here. Slight, very slight ticking sound, but you know, from a little bit further back, you can hardly hear it. So, that's good. See it melting snow there? Give you an idea. At least show you how warm it is. Pretty warm. I got it on a high. In about 5 minutes. I'm just going to show you this is what the current temperature reading is on my meat thermometer here. Let's go ahead and stick this in right here. Just see what kind of heat we get. Good. It's only about a foot away from the box there. About a foot length there. But you can see we're probably going to get close to 200 degrees coming out. And if you were to imagine, you know, going another 4 feet or so, you're going to lose some heat, obviously, with the elements. But I think it's plenty hot enough to at least warm a tent or something from 4 or 5 feet away from you. Pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna call this a success. You know, obviously you need to figure out the battery situation and get some clamps on there and tidy up some stuff inside, but I mean, it's operational right now. If I needed it tomorrow, I could run this and do just fine. I'm gonna let it run for a little longer and just see. I got about a 1/4 gallon in it. Just see how long it lasts, you know, give me an idea. But we're staying right at 193.6 degrees right now with my thermometer. You know, I'd say that's about as warm as you'd want it coming out of there. And I think this would do just fine if I ever need it or use it up at the pole barn, or I think it'll do pretty good. So anywho, appreciate you guys all very much. Again, thanks for watching. It means a lot. Commenting, hit the thumbs up button, helps out a